after viewing the PowerPoint as well as AOTA's 100-year video on the history of occupational therapy, as well as the article that was provided in week 3, I feel like I have a much better understanding of occupational therapy's history, as well as kind of the things that led to create the profession. I think before reviewing this content, I had very limited knowledge. I knew a little bit about the history, but I definitely did not know all of the key figures, so I thought that was really important going through and seeing some of the more prominent people that really shaped occupational therapy as a profession. And so when I'm looking at the questions for Part A, the history of occupational therapy, and what I found most surprising was kind of just how influential the key figures were during this time. So I was thinking about Adolf Meyer, Eleanor Clark Slagle, William Dutton Jr., and Clifford Beers, particularly among many other key figures who, at this time, mental illness was thought as something really negative, and they thought that it was caused by, religion or tradition, or later on brain lesions, and they just really weren't treated fairly or even as really people or human beings. So I think that these key figures were really, it was just really surprising how, at this time, mental illness was looked so down upon, and that these people kind of went against the grain and thought, no, we can treat these, we can treat people who are, are dealing with mental illnesses in a humane way, and then we can also incorporate occupations into the treatment. And I thought that that was really surprising because I think that it was probably, difficult to kind of go against the norm and kind of, argue what was, like pretty concrete in that way, that it was, known or, thought this way, and they kind of went against it. So I thought that was really surprising, and obviously that was a really big turning point in creating the occupational therapy profession. So then moving on to Part B, when I was, thinking about the connection from the history and going all the way back before even occupational therapy was, classified as a profession in 1917, and then kind of connecting it to today, I really thought about how occupational therapists have always been really advocating for their need and for the values of OT, and how this still continues on today, even, when we were doing the virtual Hill Week, and how we were advocating for, the importance of providing, really good care for patients. And even back then I was thinking about how during, the war, how occupational therapists, even when they were called like rehab aides, they were really just advocating for their importance, and they were kind of looked down upon. I think, it's been such a cool transition to see where OT started, and, adding more education and adding more credentials and adding more schools, and, increasing the time of education. And I think that all really impacted OT as a profession today. And then Part C, how do I think that learning about the history of occupational therapy will make me a better student? And then future OT, I think that learning the history is very helpful to being, the best occupational therapist that I can be, kind of just having an understanding of the struggles that I think that these key figures kind of went through, and how much that they accomplished and, turned around, the negative ideas that people had about individuals, with mental illnesses, or, who, needed rehab. And I think it just will make me kind of appreciate the profession a little bit more, and, it really makes me feel happy that I'm able to go into this profession that is so helping and so caring. So to kind of see how much these key figures did is really awesome.